Hi friends, Kawa here. So as the title of this video should mention, this is going to be a video about Fire Emblem Heroes 101. More or less, I'm just going to touch on the basics of the game for people who are interested in starting this game. I do feel that the game itself does help a lot with teaching you how to learn to play. So this video is really more or less going to be about resource management, but I want to start with the super basics first, so that for people who are slightly interested in picking up the game but don't want to really try yet, I can show you more or less how the game works first. So this is more or less the home page, as you can see, and we're just gonna go straight to our allies, so we can just quickly explain stuff here. Alright, so in this game, you obviously have units. In most type of things, you will have 4 units on a team. And as you can see, this is one of my units. And as in most of these games, there's stars. 5 stars being the highest. 5-star units are rare units, but you could promote level 4 and 3 stars, well, any star level, all the way to 5, and those will give them stat increases. Level 40 is the maximum in this game, and as you see that little +7 next to it, that means how many times I merged extra copies into this unit. Merges give stats. It's 2 stats each merge. It's spread out. There are websites that will help you tell what stat you're going to get. I'll probably put those in the description box below. And as you can see, on my Air's attack stat here, it's lit up blue. That means that's a boon, meaning she actually gained extra stats on it, versus a Bane. A Bane would be in red, and you actually lose stats for it. It's like an IV system, if people are familiar with it. Pokemon used to have it, or I think they still have it. But yeah, it's more or less your stat gain, where one stat will gain something, you will lose a stat somewhere else. So as you can see, I don't have a red stat here anymore because I merged her. One merge removes the Bane completely, so you gain back the lost stats. So usually you try to merge your unit if you feel like the Bane is very detrimental, but that's some more advanced things that we don't have to really touch on. We can ignore these things here. This is a summoner support, meaning that she's teamed up with another unit. She'll get these stats. That's not too important. Blessings are also not too important. That's some more advanced stuff for specifically Aether Raids and Arena, but usually affects Aether Raids more, but we don't really have to touch on that. The game will explain that to you in its own way.
I have dreams sometimes. Blue skies, white wings, gentle smile.
Oh, okay, and if you tap them, they'll talk. Okay, so on to the more important thing here. As you can see, under your stat line, there is your SP, which is your skill points. You gain skill points for killing units. You obviously need skill points to learn skills. And then below it is HM. I think it's called Hero Merits. Yeah, Hero Merits. And as you see, there's a little feather next to it. The feathers represent the resource that you can get out of this. It caps at 6,000, and you can collect 500 each interval of 500s. So let's say if Air was at 0, when she hits 500, you can collect 500 feathers from her. Feathers are very important. Feathers is a resource that you do not want to waste, because you use it to upgrade units. You promote them from 1 star level to the next. Usually you promote 3s to 4s, 4s to 5s. 4 to 5 requires 20,000 feathers. So do know that it is quite expensive, but it is a resource that you have a lot of access to, because almost every event gives it to you, but you still don't want to, spend them for no reason. We could probably touch in on that in a little bit after I explain more of this layout here. So as you can see, every unit has 7 slots. First one obviously is their weapon. Weapon has obviously might, where it represents how strong the weapon is on top of the unit's baseline of attack, which obviously increases their attack stat. Some units have special weapons where only they can hold it. We call that a preference weapon, and they usually carry some unique ability to it. Air has a unique one, but she's currently equipped with this Barb Shuriken, as you can see. The Barb Shuriken is a generic weapon that can be given to any dagger user. I forgot to also mention that there are specifics in this game, and there's a little weapon triangle, so I want to touch on that right now, seeing that we're talking about weapons. There's a color triangle, and technically it's a weapon triangle, but it's really colors. So the color triangle is simply blue beats red, green beats blue, and red beats green. You just get increased damage, or you do decreased damage if you're hitting the opposing color. It's really simple. It's just 3 colors there. And then, as you can see, Air here is colorless. She does not fall into the weapon triangle. She does not do any bonus damage, but at the same time, she does not do any less. She does not take any less damage from opposing colors. Though there are skills that make her weak to colors, but that's something that's also unique. We don't really have to talk about it. And also, you just need to know that all sword units are red, all lance units are blue, and all axe/hammer users are all green. Just need to remember that. And then on top of that, there are dagger users and bow users. Those usually fall under the colorless category, but not always. You can have colored versions of those type of units, but it's really rare. I think there's only like a handful of each. And there are healers, staff users. If I remember correctly, those are all colorless. There should be no colored staff users. So that's like the one thing that is unique to colorless. And the other thing I just need to also mention is, if you look here next to Air's level, you see that she has a little wing icon. That means she's a flying unit. There are different type of movement types. There is infantry, meaning that you can only walk 2 spaces in this game. It's a map layout. I'll show that in a second. Yeah, so infantries can only walk 2 spaces. Flying units can also only walk 2 spaces, but they can fly over any terrain. There is a cavalry unit who's on a horse, obviously. They can walk 3 spaces, though they cannot walk through forests and certain terrain. And then there are armor units who can only walk 1 space, because obviously they're heavy. And each of these units have their own unique quirk, I guess you can call it. Infantry being most baseline, meaning they're like usually really balanced. Flyers here, like Air, you can see that they tend to be a little bit lower on the stat line, because you can already see that she only has like 17 defense. It's really low. Armor units obviously take sacrifice movement for high stats. I can show you armor right here of Hector. Like, just glancing at his stats is ridiculously higher than Air's already. And this is a infantry. This is Kagero. This is an infantry. As you see, her numbers are really baseline, floating between the high 30s, but she's a little bit low in the defense, but her attack is high, so it kind of balances itself out. And the last one is a cavalry, so this one. As you can see, they have relatively decent baseline stats, but it's not really high, but at the same time it's not really low either. But they do sacrifice a little bit because they do have that superior movement ability. Alright, so touching back on this, weapon. Everyone has one, or else you cannot attack. Alright, this is what the second slot is, the assist skill. To keep it really basic, it's really what its namesake is. It's an assist skill. Like reposition here, it's the ability to move a ally unit to the opposite side of this unit. I'll show you how that works in a second. Well, not a second, after I explain the rest of these. So it tells you the range of 1. so it can only target units who are like right next to her. She's able to move them around because this is like a tactics type game where there's a map layout and there is movement. So think of it like chess. It's kind of like chess. Everyone has a special, and specials go on a cooldown. As you see, her special is a cooldown of 1. So the cooldown goes down whenever you attack or when you take an attack. So if she was to attack, her cooldown goes to 0. So it means the next time she attacks, it will trigger, and it'll do whatever the special says it does. Okay, and then these, as you see, there's A, B, and C next here. Those are specific skills. You don't get to choose 3 skills in general because they are categorized. There are skills in A, there are skills in B and C. Very specific skills. Usually C is the offensive. C. A is the offensive skills, which let you gain stats for some reason. Though she's using close counter, which lets her just counter attack no matter what. It doesn't really explain it properly. Let me see if I have. No, that's not a close counter. Who do I have? Oh, Tiburon here. Perfect. So this is what a usual A skill would look like. If the unit would start a fight, he gains 6 attack and then 10 defense. So it's an offensive type skill for the A slot. The B skill is usually a support type of skill or a defensive type of buff. In a sense here, it is a support skill where he is able to move next to any ally who is hurt. And the C skill tends to be a debuff of sorts, or a buff, but it usually cannot target the unit who's holding it. It usually is just for allies. So it's a support skill for allies, is how you would think of what the C skill is. And S here is the Sacred Seal. You don't have to really worry about it when you start off. You will unlock, I think it was the end of book 2, where you unlock the ability to create these things. They require their own in-game resource that lets you make these. The game will explain it perfectly to you how it works, but more or less it's another skill that you have to equip and you have to pass it around. It's not locked to a unit because it's legit think of it as like an item slot. That's what it is. It's like an item slot, and you can move it around. So that's more or less what a unit's stats look like, and what their skills work like. So I'm going to show you what a general fight would look like. We'll just go to the training tower, and I'll just fight this one. So as you can see, this is what it looks like. These are my enemies here. They follow the same rules that we do, where we have stats. And this red outline here, as you can see, is the range that my enemies have. That, like, if I step into it, like, if she steps up here, she can be attacked. But at the same time, if she moves too forward, she can attack Hawkeye. And it shows you the pre-battle results, so you can know that she wins the fight. And as you see here, these are mountains. Infantry units cannot walk over mountains. But a flying unit can fly over mountains. So it's really generic logic here. So I'm going to turn on these animations, and I'm just going to go auto battle because my units are strong enough to do this. And you guys can just watch how battle looks like.
And now you rest.
So that's the thing. Melee units cannot attack ranged units. As you can see, they don't fight back because my units are ranged and they're melee, and they obviously can't hit back. But the same is true for ranged units being attacked by melee units. They cannot attack them unless they have the specific skill that lets them. Okay, so that's more or less what it looks like. And that's the basic gameplay without touching in on the more advanced things. Um, so yeah, we're just gonna quickly move on back to the front page here and just explain stuff real quick. Um, this thing over here, this golden badge right here, is going to be one of your most important things when you start. It's recently implemented and it gives you rewards for doing certain quests, which are your beginner's. Well, it's not really beginner's quest. It's like a tutorial mode, and it gives you rewards. These rewards go relatively far. You get a lot of free stuff out of it, and you're gonna want to do it, obviously. And in in the process of doing it, you're gonna learn the game. Over here at the fountain is your quests and missions. It's very important that you do your dailies and stuff. As you can see, I have been neglecting it a bit, but when you first start, they're going to give you a bunch of quests. I remember when I started, it was a bunch of quests they give you, and the idea is that you just follow them. Just do what they're telling you to do. You can learn the game through that process, and you get a lot of resources. So, the most important resource that they give you outside of feathers, as you can see here, I have 48,000 at the very top, right hand corner. Above it is the orbs. Orbs is your in-game currency in this game. You need orbs to do certain things. And the idea is to save as much of it as possible. Don't waste. You get approximately... I want to say you get almost 70 to 80 orbs a month, maybe a little more, for free. I don't really keep count, as you guys know. If you've been around this channel long enough, you know that I don't really keep track of these type of things. But yeah. So when you start, they give you a huge influx of orbs, and the idea is not to waste them, unless you know what you want specifically. If you intend to play Aether Raids, which is one of my favorite modes, I cannot stress enough that you should prioritize pulling as many copies of air as you can. When you first start, there will be a banner that has 4 units on it. Let me just show you what I mean when a banner. So you come over to Summon Heroes, looks like this. But there will be a specific starter one that lasts, I think it's 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even a month. That has 1 unit of each color. There's Air on colorless, Ophelia on blue, Lewin on green, and Owain on red. So, if you want to play Aether Raids, which is the mode that I feel is the most competitive, which is this right here, you're going to need Air. And you want as many copies of her as you can get, seeing that they do give you a big time frame before the banner goes away. You want to funnel your orbs into pulling for Air. She's colorless. And I guess we don't see colorless orb, you can just pick one of the other ones, whatever one you want. But more or less, the best way to explain it is, summoning works with a banner. These are the specific units that you could. These are the rare units on this banner that have a higher chance of showing up compared to other units. Other units can show up, and then there are. Also these units are all 5 stars. You can pull 3 and 4 star units also on these banners, and those are your free-to-play units. It's very important that you understand that 5-star units are not that important. Like, they're not must-haves outside of Air and the other mythic units if you intend to play Aether Raids. That's something I can explain further in maybe another video, the mythic units, but just know that if you do intend to play Aether Raids, which is one of the most competitive modes in this game, you will need Air. I guess I'll just summon to show you guys how it looks. I'm aiming for Hilda. Hilda is the pink hair girl here. As you can see on the banner, down here, she's green. So I'm going to spend 5 orbs for you guys and show you how it looks. So I'm looking for Hilda. Hilda's not here because there's no green orb. I can't pull Hilda. Blue was Corin, red was Marita, colorless had no specific rare. So if you hit a rare on colorless, you hit like a random rare. Like, it could be any rare unit that's colorless that can show up. Blue, you have a high chance of hitting Korin, but you also can hit other blues. It's like that. I'm gonna go for red just because I don't have a Marita. I wouldn't mind pulling it, but I don't think so. So yeah, this is how it works. You pull something. Oh, okay, not bad. I pull a 3-star. It's Kane. And as you can see, his unmerged unit has a negative stat and a positive stat. If they do not have negative or positive stats, it means that they are neutral IV, so they didn't gain anything, but at the same time they didn't lose anything. All the event units that come for free will have neutral bases. Anything that, like literally anything that they give you for free will be neutral. Also, do note that you will get 1 free air from Book 3. I forgot it was in Map 1. I don't remember. It was Map something. It was 100% in Book 3. It's right over here. You go here to Story Maps. Main Story. We just got a new map. I haven't done it yet. So, Book 3 right here. See, as you can see, air's right here. I think you got her on this first map. I don't remember if that was true. But yeah, there is 3 books out right now. I believe we're moving to Book 4 next year. And each book gives you a free unit. Book 1, I believe, was Ike. Book 2 was Fjorm. And Book 3 is Air. Yeah, so I'm going to go touch on uses for these type of units so you guys don't mess up slightly like I did. Okay, so in this game, units come with their own specific skill sets. I need someone who I did not give skills to, so you can kind of understand better. Alright, here we go, Rolf. So this is their skill list. This one I did not give any skills to, so these are all the skills that he naturally comes with. As you can see, he does not come with an A skill. See, it's a B, and there's a C. He doesn't have an A skill. So, to get around that, you have this option in this game called Inherit Skills, where you will sacrifice one unit to another unit so that they can gain their skills. There is a long list of skills that you can pick between, assuming you have it, and you will kill one of the units off to give her skills to another. So this is where you want to be careful when you're starting the game. You don't have too many units, and unless you really know what you're aiming for ahead of time, you shouldn't really be using this yet. You should wait until you have things planned out. So just in case you guys stumble in onto it, don't waste it. And then this unlocking potential is where you use feathers to upgrade a unit. As you can see, he'll go from 4 stars to 5 stars at the cost of 20,000 feathers. Do not waste your feathers. At least not in the beginning of the game. Feathers do come by relatively quick if you know what you're doing, but you don't want to waste it because you want specific units that everyone has their own units that they like to, build. Like, you don't have to build all the units I build. It's really based on whatever you like. But, as you see, you want your unit obviously here to be 5 stars and plus 10. When they're plus 10, it means that they're at their maximum potential and they're a lot stronger than they're supposed to be. Compared to when, they were 3 or 4 stars with no merges. I usually tell people not to merge anything outside of 5 stars, but you could merge up a bunch of the 4 stars up to like plus 10, but then if you ever were to upgrade them to a 5 star, they lose all those merges, and you could have wasted a lot of units. Also, one important thing that I didn't realize when I started was rare 5-star units that come off banners. They're not easy to merge. It takes a lot of orbs to merge them. So usually what I do is I don't merge them. I just keep them around in my barracks. As you can see here, I have like a lot of 5-star dudes. like just sitting here. And that's because 5-star units usually have some rare skill on them, and you want to keep them around so you can, let another unit inherit those rare skills. So instead of building these 5-star units that cost a lot of orbs, you want to build like a 4-star unit instead. You would awaken them or unlock the potential, like Donald here. He starts as he actually can get him as a 1-star unit when you start the game. But you can build them up to a 5-star and then keep merging them into him until he gives like a +10. Then he's becomes a really strong unit, and then all these rare skills, as you can see on my Donald, you can just gather it from other units where 5-star units. You gather the skill off them, and you can make Donald stronger versus having to invest a lot of time and a lot of effort into doing a 5-star unit that only comes off a banner, and then it takes a lot of resources. So you don't want to waste resources like that. It's not a good idea. Unless you like to spend money. Yeah, you want to spend money, you can do it. But if you're going to be free to play, I suggest you not do that. Just select between the 3 and 4-star pool of units and build those, and only really look for polls or on your banner when there's a skill you want, or if it's a mythic unit, because the mythic units affect things in Aether Raids. But yet again, that's something. It's only if you intend to play Aether Raids. If you do not intend to play Aether Raids, it doesn't really matter. I think that's really about it for the basics. If there's anything else, yes. Actually, I did forget something. I forgot about the dragon flowers. As you can see, my cat girl here next to her, she has a +7. Those are called dragon flowers. They're specifically given to you through events, and each unit you have that you own, you can get a certain amount of flowers off them. Newer units give 40, older units give 2 to 8. So the idea of the flower is that it boosts 1 stat, and older units are able to use 10. As you can see, my Kagero here, she's a generation 1 unit, so she came out way back then, so her stats are like low compared to someone like Hector here. Outside the fact that he's an armor, he's also a new unit, so his stat line is a little higher than hers. So he can only use 5 flowers, while Kagero can use 10. But as you can see, there are 4 different types of flowers. Red is for infantry, green is for armor, yellow is for cavalry, and blue is for flying. You don't come by these very often, so don't spend them unless, yet again, you know what you're spending them on. If you're spending it on like a permanent unit you have to use, like air, that's not an issue. But if you willy-nilly throw it around, you're wasting these flowers, and you actually don't get them very often. Like, it's not that you don't get them very often, you don't get them in high quantities. Like, it takes time. You have to be patient in this game. Even if you have money, you can't speed up this process. And it keeps the game balanced in that way. Like, the only thing is that money that really does for you in this game is that you can buy more orbs and pull more rare units. But your rare unit only goes so far, because it'll only have like a little more stats than my free-to-play unit. And I can also just pull 1 copy of this rare unit, take his rare skill, and give it to someone else. So yeah. I think there's just one last thing I want to touch on, and that's weapon refinery. So certain units with certain weapons can have their weapons refined, meaning that it can gain a skill or it can gain stats. So I think this will be the proper one. Okay, so Seliph here, his regular sword doesn't do any of this. Well, it does this. It says at the start of combat, his HP is greater than 50. If his HP will go to 1, instead of going to 1, he goes. Well, instead of going to 0, it goes to 1. And as you see, it costs 200. This yellow stuff here, it's called Divine Dew. And it doesn't come by very often either. You can worry about that later on, but when you're starting off, you really can't farm too much of it. But I just wanted to tell you guys not to waste it, because that's something I did. I was refining like everything and anything I saw. But so yeah, you don't want to waste refines if you don't have to. Like here. Also, Sharina here is one of your starting units that you're given. She's pretty good. She's not really good. She's actually really weak stat wise, but she is a necessary thing that you need around, along with Anna and Alphonse. Where are they? Anna, I think I already got her skill. That's why she's like all the way down here somewhere. Actually, no, she should be up here thinking about it. Where is Anna? Anyways, I'm just rambling now. Yeah, so Anna, Alphonse, and Sharina are your 3 starting units. Don't waste your refines on them right away. You will need to do it maybe down the line, but don't waste it yet. And then I just want to also show you the other refine item option is these rocks here. They don't come by very often either. Don't waste them. And then like the rocks usually upgrade a weapon so it gives stats, while the dew gives it an effect. And usually weapons like this that give stats, they are able to be inherited by someone else, so you can pass it along. But yeah, more or less, to summarize this whole video up, don't waste your resources. Orbs are hard to come by, feathers are pretty common, but you don't want to waste it. And your rare units, don't over invest in them, because they're really meant to be, I guess, sources for rare skills. And if you intend to play on the highest level, which is Aether Raids, you will need air, which is very important. I did not realize that when I started myself, and I did not pull too many copies of air. Yeah, and then more or less you can just pick any unit you like if you like the art on them or something. As long as you're not like a 5-star rare banner unit, it's relatively easy to upgrade them. But you know, 5-star rare units, they only come by once in a while. It takes a long time, but you can still work on them. You can just, you know, save up your orbs until you see them again, and then you can pull them if you like them. Every unit in this game is viable. Even the old units are getting stronger because of weapon refines. So everything's viable. You can just pick something you like and just work on it. And yeah, that's really it for the basics. There's not really much more to really talk about. I might make another video, I guess, on more intermediary things, because I don't want to keep rambling on. But yeah, if you guys enjoy it, let me know, and I'll maybe make another one. Alright guys, see you later.